سميتموها أنتم وآباؤكم ما نزل الله بها من سلطان فانتظروا إني معكم من المنتظرين فأنجيناه والذين معه برحمة منا وقطعنا دابر الذين كذبوا بآياتنا وما كانوا مؤمنين وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره قد جاءتكم بينة من ربكم هذه ناقة الله لكم آية فذروها تأكل في أرض الله ولا تمسوها بسوء فيأخذكم عذاب أليم واذكروا إذ جعلكم خلفاء من بعد عاد وبوأكم في الأرض تتخذون من سهولها قصورا وتنحتون الجبال بيوتا فاذكروا آلاء الله ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين قال الملأ الذين استكبروا من قومه للذين استضعفوا لمن آمن منهم أتعلمون أن صالحا مرسل من ربه قالوا إنا بما أرسل به مؤمنون. Inshallah, that is our lesson, ayah number 70 to ayah number 75. Inshallah, now let's go ahead and look at the tajweed analysis of our lesson. Starting from ayah number 70. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قالوا أجئتنا لنعبد الله وحده. So we are beginning here with the word قالوا. Qaf is a permanently heavy letter. It is part of khussa, daght, and kilf. So we are going to make sure that we are raising the back of the tongue as we say this letter. This is a 2-count med, and because the letter before is heavy, the med will become heavy as well. So this is a 2-count heavy med. Lu, this is going to be a 4-count med. This is going to be med jaiz munfasil. Ajitana, here we have a hamza with a sukun. Hamza is one of the letters that has shidda, meaning that when we have this letter with sukun, we are going to abruptly stop the sound as we are saying it. So here, because it is coming from the throat, you will have that sharp ending to the sound. Ajitana. So you can hear that it is very abrupt. There is that jerkiness to this letter. And it's very important that we do this because otherwise it will begin to sound like a med. It will sound like it is from the jawf. So we do not want this sounding like a med. It is not an alif, it is a hamza. Ajitana. Na is going to be a 2-count med. Lina'budallah. Ayn here is going to be a letter of tawassut, meaning that when this letter has a sukun, you are going to hear it roll around in the throat. And because ayn is one of the letters from the middle of the throat, there's going to be a little bit of compression, a little bit of constriction around the middle throat. Na'budallaha, name of Allah here is going to be heavy. Wahdah, here, ha is going to be from the middle of the throat. Again, you are going to feel a little bit of that constriction, and you should feel like pressure against the middle of the throat. And ha is one letter of hams, and this means that there is going to be a lot of air as you say this letter. This is going to be coming from the throat. Wahdah. So here, make sure that you are giving proper air because it does have a sukun. Dahu, 2 count mad. Wa nadhara, ra here is going to be heavy. This one has a fatha on top, so in this case it will be a heavy ra. Ma is a 2 count mad. Ka is a 2 count mad. Ya'budu, ayn is going to have tawassut. It is again going to be from the middle of the throat. Ya'budu aba'una. A is a 2 count mad. Ba is a 4 count mad. This is going to be mad wajib muttasil because the mad and the hamza are within the same word. Na is going to be a 2 count mad. Fa'tina, hamza here is going to be again having shidda, meaning that you are going to abruptly stop the sound. Fa'tina, and it is going to have that jerkiness. Tina is a 2 count mad. Bima is a 2 count mad. Dariduna, this one is going to be a 4 count mad. This one is going to be jaiz munfasil because the mad and the hamza are within 2 separate words. In kunta, in is going to be ikhfa. Kunta is going to be ikhfa. Both of these are nun sakin, followed by one of the letters of ikhfa. Minas sadiqin, sad is going to be heavy. Dal is light. Qaf is heavy. So make sure the dal is not becoming heavy as well. Sadiqin. Qala, this is going to be a heavy 2 count mad. Qad, qaf here is heavy. Dal has qalqala. It is part of qutub jad, meaning that it is going to have a bounce when we say this letter with sukun. Waqa'a, qaf is going to be heavy. Ayn is going to be from the middle of the throat. Alaykum, ayn again from the middle of the throat. So make sure that you are pronouncing both of these ayn because we have one right after another. Waqa'a alaykum. Waqa'a alaykum. So make sure that you are pronouncing both of them. It is a bit difficult because you are engaging the middle of the throat and constricting it twice in a row. But we do want to make sure that we are hearing both of these ayn. We don't want to say waqa'a alaykum. Now here I only hear one ayn, so make sure that you are finishing for the first one and then beginning on the second one. Lay is going to be madleen, maddan ma 1.5. Kum min, merge these together and bring these up into the nose. Mir rabbikum, ra here is going to be causing this idgham, and this is going to be without gunna, meaning that you are merging this nun sakin together. Mir rabbikum. So there is no hint of that nun. You just merge it together with the ra. Ra is going to be heavy. Rabbikum, rest on this meme with tawassut. Rijisun, ra here is light. Jim is going to have a qalqala. Rijisun wa ghadab, merge these together. This is going to be idgham with ghunna. We have nun sakin followed by one of the letters of waw, which is yanmu and yarmalun. Letters of ghunna and letters of idgham. وغضب, ghain is going to be heavy. Dad is heavy. Both of these are part of khussa, daght, and gilf. Ba here is going to have qalqala because we are stopping. There is a sukun. It is part of qutub jad. Atujadilunani. Ja is a 2 count mad. Lu is a 2 count mad. Nani is a 2 count mad. Fi, this is a 4 count mad. This is mad jaiz munfasil. Asma'in, this is again going to be a 4 count mad. This one is wajib muttasil because the mad and the hamza are within the same word. Asma'in sammaytumuha, this is going to be ikhfa. Sammay, this is madleen. Tumuha, 4 count mad. This is mad jaiz munfasil because the mad and the hamza are within 2 separate words. Antum, ikhfa, wa aba'ukum. A is a 2 count mad. Ba is going to be a 4 count mad. This one is going to be mad wajib muttasil because the mad and the hamza are within the same word. Ma, 2 count mad. Nazzal Allah, name of Allah here is heavy because lam has a fatha. Biha, 2 count mad. Min sultan, this is going to be ikhfa. And then here lam is light, ta is going to be heavy. Fantadhiru, dha here is heavy because it is part of khussa, daght, and gilf. Ra here is heavy because it has a dhamma, and this is going to be a 4 count mad. This is mad jaiz munfasil. Mad and hamza are within 2 separate words. فَتَغْضِرُوا إِنِّي. معكم من المنتظرين. Here, lam has tawassut, منتظرين. This is ikhfa. Ra is going to be heavy, part of khussa daqt and kilf. Ra in this case is going to be light because of the kasra. فأنجيناه, J is madleen, na is a 2-count mad. والذين, this is a 2-count mad. معه, 2-count mad. برحمة, Ra here is going to be heavy. Ha is going to have hams from the middle of the throat. رحمة منا, this is going to be idgham with ghunna. وقطعنا, Qaf is going to be heavy, Ta is heavy. Both of these are part of khussa daqt and kilf. Ain is going to have tawassut from the middle of the throat. Na is going to be a 2-count mad. Da is going to be a 2-count mad. Dabira, Ra is going to be heavy because it has a fatha. Dabira alladhina kadhabu. Bu is going to be a 2-count mad. Bi'a, 2-count mad. Ya, 2-count mad. Dina, 2-count mad. Wama, 2-count mad. Ga, 2-count mad. Nu, 2-count mad. So make sure all of these mudud are consistent. Mu'minin, Hamza here is going to have jahar. Make sure that it is having that abrupt stop inside of the throat. Mu'minin, 4-count mad. Wa'ila, 2-count mad. Thamu, 2-count mad. Khahum, 2-count mad. And kha is going to be heavy because it is part of khussa daqt and kilf. Mim has tawassut. Saliha, Sad is going to be heavy. Ha is going to be mad al-iwad. We see that there is a fatha followed by a tanween. So when we have fathatain, this is going to be a 2-count mad if you are stopping. Now because I have stopped, I will make this a 2-count mad. Saliha. If you are continuing, you can recite this as a normal tanween. Salihan qala. But because I have stopped, it is now a 2-count mad. Qala, Qaf is going to be heavy. Ya qawmi, Qaf is going to be heavy. This is madleen. Ya is a 2-count mad. Ya qawmi abudullah. Ain has tawassut. Dullaha, name of Allah here is heavy because the dal has a dhamma. Ma, 2-count mad. Lakum min, idgham with ghunna. Min, idhar. Ilahin, 2-count mad. Ilahin ghayro. This is again going to be idhar. Anytime you have nun sakin followed by one of the throat letters, that nun sound is going to be pronounced very clearly. Ghain is madleen, Ra here is going to be heavy, and ha has a sukoon because I have stopped. I am going to give this extra hams, meaning that there is going to be a lot of air on this letter. Ghayro. And this is going to come from the chest because it is from the lower throat. Make sure that you are giving it proper air, otherwise you may not be able to hear this ha. Qad, Qaf is heavy, Dal has qalqala. Ja'atkum, this is going to be a 4-count mad. This is going to be a 4-count mad, and it is mad. Wajib muttasil because the mad and the hamza are within that same word. Ja'atkum bayyinatum min rabbikum. Merge this tanween with that meme. It is idgham with ghunna. Min rabbikum, also idgham. However, this is going to be without ghunna, meaning that noon is merged completely within the ra. Ra in this case is going to be heavy because of the fatha. Min rabbikum. Hadihi, ha is going to be a 2-count mad. He is going to be a 2-count mad as well. This is matsila sughra. Na is a 2-count mad. Qaf is going to be heavy. It is part of khussa daqt and kilf. Name of Allah here is going to be heavy because the ta has a dhamma. Naqatullahi lakum, mim has tawassut. Ayah. A is a 2-count mad. Yah. Because I'm stopping, this is going to turn into a ta marbuta. Just read this as a ha. Ayah. And this is going to come from the chest with hams. فَذَرُوهَا, Ra is going to be heavy. Ha is a 2-count mad. Ta'kul, Hamza has jahar. Kul, Lam has tawassut. Fi ardillah, this is going to be a 4-count mad. This is mad, ja is munfasil because the mad and the hamza are within separate words. Ardillah, Ra has tawassut. It is heavy. Dad is heavy. Name of Allah here is light because the dad has a kasra. Ardillah. And then here, ha is going to be from the throat and it has plenty of hams. Ardillah. Make sure that you are reading this properly. Wala, 2-count mad. Tamassuha. Su is the 2-count mad. Ha is a 2-count mad. Bisu'in, this is going to be a 4-count mad. This is mad wajib muttasil because the mad and the hamza are within that same word. Bisu'in fa, this is going to be ikhfa. Khudakum, hamza here has jahar. Khudakum, mim has tawassut. Adabun, 2-count mad. Adabun alim, this is going to be idhar. Wadhkuru, this is going to be a 4-count mad. It is mad is munfasil because the mad and the hamza are within 2 separate words. Ra here is heavy. إذ جعلكم, mim has tawassut, khulafa'a, 4 count mad. This is going to be mad wajib, muttasil, because hamza and mad are within that same word. Kha in khulafa is going to be heavy, it is permanently heavy. Min ba'di, this is going to be iqlab, nun sakin is switched with the letter mim, because the letter after is a ba. Ba'di, Ain is going to have tawassut, roll that around in the throat. Aad, Ain is going to be a 2 count mad. Aadiyun wa, this is going to be idgham with ghunna. Wa bawwa'akum, here we have a waw with a shadda. Make sure that you are reading this twice. Wa bawwa'akum, and make sure you are rounding the lips on this letter as well. Fil ardi, lam has tawassut, ra has tawassut, ra is heavy because the letter before has a fatha. Da is going to be heavy, khusa daqtan permanently heavy letter. Tattakhiduna, lu is a 2 count mad. Min su, this is going to be ikhfa. Suhu, 2 count mad. Liha, 2 count mad. Qusuran, qaf is going to be heavy, sad is heavy, ra is heavy. Qusuran wa, this is going to be idgham with ghunna. Wa tanhituna, nun has a idhar because it is followed by one of the throat letters. Wa tanhituna, lam has tawassut. Jibala, 2 count mad. Buyuta, buyu is a 2 count mad. Ta is going to be mad al-iwad. So make sure that you are reading this with a 2 count mad. Now because I have stopped, that is why we are going to make this from a tanween to a 2 count mad. Fadhkuru. Now this is going to be a 4 count mad. It is mad jaiz munfasil because the mad and the hamza are within 2 separate words. Ra in this case is heavy because it has a dhamma. A is a 2 count mad. La is going to be a 4 count mad. This is going to be mad wajib muttasil. Mad and hamza are within that same word. Allahi, name of Allah here is heavy because the letter before has a fatha. Wala, 2 count mad. Da'athaw, madneen, madin ma 1.5. Fil ardi, lam has tawassut, ra has tawassut. Ra is heavy because the letter before has fatha. And dad is heavy as well because this is a permanently heavy sound. Mufsideen, 4 count mad. Qala al-mala'u, lam has tawassut. Mala'ul ladina, this is going to be a 2 count mad here. Ladina stakbaru, seen has safir, meaning it has a little bit of that whistle. Ladina stakbaru, kaf is going to have hams. Ra is going to be heavy because of the dhamma. Min qawmi, this is going to be heavy. Min qawmihi, this is going to be madlin. Mihi, 2 count mad. Lilladina, the is going to be a 2 count mad. Lilladina stud'ifu, seen has safir. Dad is going to be heavy. Rifu, this is going to be a 2 count mad. Liman, noon is going to have idhar. Amana, this is going to be a 2 count mad. Amana minhum, noon has idhar. Mim is going to have tawassut. Ata'lamuna, ayn has tawassut. Anna salihan, sad is going to be heavy and it is a 2 count mad. Salihan mur, this is going to be idgham with ghunna, merge these together. Ra here is going to be heavy. Mursalum min rabbih, merge these together, again idgham with ghunna. Min rabbih, this is going to be idgham without ghunna, meaning nun sakin is not going to be heard at all. Instead merge this together with the ra and this is going to be heavy. Rabbih, this is going to be ha with hams. Qalu, this is going to be a 2 count mad. Lu is going to be a 4 count mad. Inna, this is going to be a 2 count mad. Bima, this is going to be a 4 count mad. It is going to be mad jaiz munfasil because the mad and the hamza are within 2 separate words. Ursila, ra is going to be heavy. Bihi, this is a 2 count mad. Mu'minun, hamza here has jahar, and then we end on a 4 count mad. So inshallah, this is going to be our lesson, ayah number 70 to ayah number 75. Jazakumullahu khairan kathiran. Inshallah, we will stop here for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. Fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidna ilma. Allahumma faqqihna fid din. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'an wa amalan mutaqabbalan wa rizqan tayyiba. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna ilma. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Inshallah, we're going to do ayat 70 to 75 of Surah Al-Araaf today. We'll start off with the word meanings, beginning with ayah number 70. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قالوا, they said. This comes from the word qul, which means to say, and this is in the plural, third person, and it's in the past. So قالوا, they said, أجئتنا. In the beginning is used for asking a question, so it means did. جئت. جاء means to come, and ta means you. So jita, you came, na, to us, li, so that, na'buda. Ibadah is the root word here, and that means worship. Nun in the beginning is the pronoun meaning we, so na'buda, we worship. So li na'buda, so that we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wahdahu. Wahda means alone. This comes from the word wahid, which means one. So wahda, alone, who, he, or him. Wa and nadhara, we left. Noon in the beginning means we, and dhar means to leave. So nadhara, we left. Ma, whatever. Kana, was, or were. Ya'budu, worshipped. Ya in the beginning tells us that this word is in the third person, and abd comes from ibadah, which means to worship. So ya'budu, they worshipped. Aba'u, and because of whatever is coming up next, this word ya'budu becomes plural. So worshipped. Aba'u, forefathers. Na, ours. Fa'tina, fa, so, or then. And then ati is the root word, and that means to come. Na, us, be, with, ma, what. So in English, instead of saying so come to us with whatever, it makes more sense to say fatina bi means so bring to us. Okay? Whenever the word ati is followed by ba, it means to bring. So fatina bi, so bring to us, and then ma means whatever or what. Ta'iduna. This word comes from wa'da, which means a promise. Ta in the beginning means you. So ta'idu, you promise. Na, us. And in this case, it can mean you threaten us, because the prophet was, the messenger was warning them about something. In, if, kun, are, or were. Ta, you, min, from, as-sadiqeen, those who are truthful. Sidq is the root word here, and it means truthfulness. Sadiq is somebody who is truthful, and ina ending makes this word plural. So as-sadiqeen, those who are truthful. Qala, said, he said. Qad, in fact. Waqa'a, it happened or occurred. Alay, upon, kum, all of you. Min, from, Rabbi. Rabb means Lord, Creator, Master, Sustainer. Kum, yours. Rijisun, filth or punishment. Wa, and ghadab. Ghadab means wrath or anger. Atujadilunani, is used for asking a question in the beginning, so it means do. Tujadilu comes from the word jidal, which means to argue or dispute. Ta in the beginning means you. So tujadilu, you all dispute ni, with me. So atujadilunani, do you all dispute with me? Fi, in, or concerning, asma'i, names. Sammaytumuha, which you all named them. And sammaytumu comes from asma as well, which meant names. So sammaytu, you named. And sammaytumu, you all have named. Ha, them, meaning the names. Antum, you all. Wa, and aba'u, forefathers. Kum, yours. Ma, not. Nazala, he sent down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be, with, or of or for, ha, it, min, from, sultan, any authority or proof. فَانْتَظِرُوا, fa, so, and then nazar means to look and wait. So فَانْتَظِرُوا, this is a command, and a lot of people are being addressed when this is said. We know because it ends in vowel alif. So you all wait. Inni, inna means indeed, and then ya at the end means I. So inni, indeed I, ma'a, with kum, all of you, min, from, al-muntazirin, those who wait. Al-muntazir means somebody who waits, and ina ending makes this word plural. So al-muntazirin, those who wait. Fa, so, anjayna, nija means to save. So anjay, saved, na, we, who, him. So fa anjaynahu, so we saved him, wa, and alladina, those who, ma'a, with, who, him, be, with, rahmatin, mercy, minna, min, from, na, us, wa, and qata'na, qata means to cut, na means we. So qata'na, we cut, dabir, root, alladina, of those who, kadhabu, they belied. This word comes from kadhiba, which means a lie. So kadhabu is a verb. It's in the past tense and it ends in vowel alif, so we know this is plural. So kadhabu, they belied, be, with, ayat, verses or signs, na, ours, wa, and, ma, na, kanu, they were. And this word is also in the third person and in the past and plural. Kanu, they were, mu'minin, believers. This word comes from iman. Iman means faith or belief. Mu'min, adding a mim to the beginning, makes this word a noun, and that means a believer. And ina ending makes this word plural. So mu'minin, believers or ones who believe. Wa, and, ila, towards, thamuda, thamud, akha, brother. So this is the same as akhi, which means brother. Akha, brother, whom theirs, saliha, salih alayhi salam. Qala, he said, ya qawmi, ya, o qawm, nation or people. And the kasra underneath the meme means mine. So ya qawmi, O my people, u'budu, you all worship. Ibadah means to worship, and this word is a command, and he's addressing a lot of people when he says that because it ends in vowel alif. So u'budu, you all worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ma, not, la, for, kum, all of you, min, from, ilahin, any god, ghayru, other than or besides, who, him. Qad, in fact, ja'at, came, kum, to all of you, bayyinatun, bayyina means a clear proof, min, from, rabbikum, rabb means Lord, creator, master, sustainer, kum, yours, hadihi, this, naqatu, a she camel, Allahi, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning a female camel from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la, for, kum, all of you, ayatan, a sign, fadharuha, fa, so, dhar means to leave, and Salih alayhi salam was speaking to his whole nation when he said this, all the people, so he said dharu, which means he's commanding a lot of people. This is plural, so fadharu, so you all leave, ha, her, meaning the she camel, ta'kul, she eats, or it eats, ukul means food, ta'kul means she eats, and or it eats, and it's a verb, fi, in, ardi, the earth, Allahi, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are the earth, Allahi, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa, and la, do not, tamassuha, mas is the root word, and that means to touch. Ta in the beginning means you, and tamassu ends in vaw sukun. The alif is dropped because there's a suffix that's added, but we know this is plural. So tamassu, you all touch, ha, it, or her, be with su'in, any evil or bad. So tamassuha bi su'in, to touch her with evil means to harm her. So wala, and do not tamassuha bi su'in, harm her. Okay, to touch her with evil or harm her. Fa, so, or consequently, ya'khudh. Khudh means to take. So ya'khudh, it will take. Kum, all of you, adhabun, a punishment. Alim, one most painful. And note that in this ayah, in the beginning when we said wa ila thamuda, and toward Thamud, akhwahum salihah, their brother Salih, it means, and towards Thamud, the people of Thamud, was sent their brother Salih alayhi salam. Now back to ayah number 74. Wadhkuru, wa, and udhkuru, do dhikr, which means to remember, and this is a command. It's plural, addressing a lot of people because it ends in vowel. So wadhkuru, and you all remember, if, when, ja'ala, he made, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made, kum, all of you, he appointed all of you, khulafa'a. Khalf means behind, right? It means to come behind. So khulafa'a, successors. Min, from, ba'di, after, adin, ad, wa, and bawwa'a, he settled completely. Now the word sakana also means to settle, but bawwa means to settle in a place, in a way that somebody really wants to be settled, exactly as they want to be. Okay, so bawwa'a, he settled completely. Kum, all of you. Fi, in, al-ardi, the land or earth. Tattakhiduna, you all take or make. Khudh means to take. Ta in the beginning means you. Una ending makes this word plural. Tattakhiduna, you all make or take. Min, from, suhuliha, suhul, plains. And sahal means ease, right? So suhul means plains or land that doesn't have mountains. So it comes from the word sahal because it's land that is soft. It's easy to live on. It's easy to plant things there and to move around on flat or land that is not too high. Okay, that it's not too hilly, doesn't have mountains. So suhuli, plains, it's kusuran, and the it's refers to the earth. Kusuran, palaces. This is a plural form of the word qasr, which means a palace. So kusuran, palaces, wa, and tanhituna. Nahat is the root word, and that means to carve stones. Ta in the beginning means you, and una ending makes this word plural. So tanhituna, you all carve. Al-jibal, the mountains. This is a plural form of the word jabal, which means a mountain. So al-jibal means the mountains. Buyutan, as homes. This word comes from the word bait, which means a home. So buyutan, as homes. Fadhkuru, fa, so. Udhkuru, you all remember. This word comes from dhikr again, which means to remember. Ala'a, ala'a means favors, blessings, bounties. Allahi, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa, and la, do not. Ta'thaw, you all act wickedly. Athaw is the root word, and that means to be evil. Ta in the beginning means you. So ta'thaw, you all act badly. Fi, in, al-ardi, the earth. Mufsideen. This word comes from the word fasad, which means corruption or mischief. Mufsid, adding a meme to the beginning, makes this word a noun. So mufsid means somebody who spreads corruption, and ina ending makes this word plural. So mufsideen, ones who spread corruption or mischief. Qala, said, al-mala'u, the chiefs, alladhina, of those who istakbaru, they acted arrogantly, they assumed greatness. Kibr is the root word, and that means to be great, and istakbaru, the is in the beginning means to ask for, to seek. And the waw alif in the end tells us this word is plural. And this is in the third person and the past. So istakbaru, they assumed greatness. Min, from, qawmi, people, he, his, meaning the qawm of Salih alayhi salam. Li, to, alladhina, those who. And whenever we see the word qala, which means said, that somebody is saying something to somebody else, and then li means to, alladhina, those who. So we can't, it doesn't make sense to say, and the chiefs from among his nation who acted arrogantly said for those who were considered weak, right? It makes more sense to say the chiefs from among his nation who acted proudly or assumed greatness said to those who, right? So li, in this case, makes more sense whenever it's followed by the word qala to translate to. So li, to, alladhina, those who. Ustudaifu. This word comes from the word da'if, which means weak. And ustudaifu means that they were weakened. They were made weak. Okay? That they were not weak, but they were considered weak. Li, for, man, whom, amana, believed, min, from, whom, them, do. And again, the is used for asking a question. Ta'lamuna, you all know. You all have ilm. Ilm is the root word, and that means knowledge. Ta in the beginning means you, and una ending makes this word plural. So, ta'lamuna, do you all know? Anna, that, salihan, Salih alayhi salam, mursalun, one sent, or as a messenger. Rusul means the ones who are sent, and mursal, adding a mim to the beginning, means one who was sent. Min, from, Rabbi, Lord, Creator, Master, Sustainer, He, His, qalu, they said. This word is in the third person, and it is in the past and plural. It ends in waw alif. Qalu, they said, inna. Inna means indeed. Nun alif in the end means we. So inna, indeed we, be with, or in ma, what, ursila, was sent. And ursila is in the passive form. So ursila, was sent, be with, he, him. Mu'minun, believers. Iman is the root word, and adding a mim to the beginning makes this a noun. Mu'min means a believer. And una ending makes this word plural. So mu'minun, ones who believe. Alhamdulillah. Now we'll start the tafsir of these ayat, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the last few ayat, we had started learning about the people of Ad and how they responded to Hud alayhi salam's invitation to only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he told them to remember the favors of Allah upon them so they could succeed, qalu, they replied, أجئتنا لنعبد الله وحده? Have you come to us so that we should worship Allah alone? وَنَذَرَ مَا كَانَ يَعْبُدُ آبَاؤُنَا, and we give up those whom our forefather used to worship. They asked Hud alayhi salam if this was what he demanded. To them, this was such a big deal, as if it was so strange to worship only one God, to only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to leave all the other idols that their forefathers had worshipped. They couldn't even imagine giving up the ways of their forefathers, which included remembering others along with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The idols they had taken were their awliya Allah. Okay, the ones they consider the close ones to Allah. And even today, some people actually think that the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that His remembrance is incomplete until they mention the awliya of Allah, meaning the saints or pious people. Astaghfirullah. So they asked Hud alayhi salam if he wanted them to stop doing the dhikr of their forefathers who had been pious. They said, فَأْتِنَا بِمَا تَعِذُنَا, then bring us what you are threatening us with. إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ, if what you say is true. They were so ignorant in saying this. They actually dared Hud alayhi salam to bring about the punishment if he was true. They basically challenged him and said to incur the torment if he was right, to bring it. Qala, he said, so Hud alayhi salam told them, قَدْ وَقَعَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ رِجْسٌ وَغَضَبٌ. In fact, you have already incurred the filth, meaning the punishment, and the wrath of your Rabb. Now, we must keep in mind that Hud alayhi salam did not just say this the next day or right after they challenged him. Everything is listed here briefly, as if one thing happened after another. So it may seem like it happened quickly, one after another, that he did dawah and they rejected, and then he told them what this ayah says, that they have already incurred the wrath. But that's not how things happened. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only tells us the important points. So it may seem like they happened over a short period of time, but they didn't. We must remember that Hud alayhi salam kept trying to call them to the right path for a very long time. They kept rejecting and asked how he expected them to only worship one Allah and leave all their idols. And eventually, Hud alayhi salam told them that if they wanted punishment, it would happen. أَتُجَادِلُونَنِي فِي أَسْمَاءٍ سَمَّيْتُمُوهَا أَنْتُمْ وَآبَاؤُكُمْ. Do you dispute with me about mere names which you and your forefathers have invented? They had made up the names of their idols themselves, coming up with false beliefs that one of them granted them sustenance and that another idol granted them children and another one removed difficulties from them, and so on. They made up all these things, saying that each of their idols was responsible for one particular task. So their beliefs were very similar to Hinduism now. Their forefathers had named some of their idols, and they named some others themselves. مَا نَزَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهَا مِن سُلْطَانٍ, for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed no sanction. Hud alayhi salam told them that there was no proof whatsoever that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave for what they claimed. He never told them that someone besides him would give them one thing and another would give them something else. He never divided up these powers and told them that, oh, this one controls this and that one does this. Astaghfirullah. Some Muslims actually commit shirk in a similar way even now, and they call out to saints, the pious people of the past, for some of their needs instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They call out one particular one for the weather, another one for rizq, sustenance. So they have come up with these weird things, and they don't even realize that they're committing shirk when they do that. In fact, they don't even know that they're doing anything wrong at all. But they must remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not order people to do this. He sent no proof of anyone else who can grant anything to people. When it comes to religion, we must always look for proof, before we blindly start doing anything. Check for proof to see if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in fact ordered us to do something or not. So when someone asks us why we do something, we should have proof and know for sure that we're doing it because Allah ordered us to, not just because our elders used to do it. If we're blindly following our forefathers in religion, or just listening to people around us randomly without verifying that they're telling us the truth, without any proof that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do something, it's not acceptable. So the criteria for doing anything in the name of religion is to determine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do it or not. And if He hasn't, we shouldn't be doing it. Some people falsely claim that Khizr al-Islam controls the windstorms, but that is not true. How can they say such things and claim that it's a part of religion? Allahu Akbar. فَانْتَظِرُوا إِنِّي مَعَكُمْ مِنَ الْمُنْتَظِرِينَ. So wait, I too will wait with you. Hud al-Islam told them to wait for the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that the punishment they had asked for would come. And he said that he was waiting as well. فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِنَّا. So we saved him and his companions by our mercy. Just as we had learned with Nuh alayhi salam, we find out that the people with Hud alayhi salam who were spared were not his friends or his neighbors or relatives. Instead, it was the believers with him whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected from the punishment. He arranged for their protection first, and then وَقَطَعْنَا دَابِرَ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا, and we cut off the roots of those who denied our revelations. They were annihilated. Now, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that He cut off the roots of these people? This is mentioned repeatedly about these nations that were destroyed. And this is because the root is what grows to become a plant later on. Likewise, the root or the children of their nations would grow up to be like them when they got older. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wiped out each one of them, even their offspring, so that the root of shirk is cut off. None of their descendants remained. They were all wiped off of the face of the earth. No trace of them remained. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to seize people for their sins, not even one of them is left behind. وَمَا كَانُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ, and they did not become believers. They weren't believers. This was their fault, for which they were punished. They rejected the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they failed to believe. So faith or belief is a great treasure. And from the example of Nuh alayhi salam and Hud alayhi salam, we find out how the messengers struggled so much to carry out their mission, the work they were assigned to do. They remained steadfast in trying to fulfill their responsibility. And from the example of their nations, from what they did, we learned that only those who accepted the truth, which was the invitation to believe in and worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, were the ones who succeeded. And history proves that the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does strike those who do not accept the message. It comes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala include us among the believers, and may He protect us from all kinds of punishment. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Next, we'll learn about the people of Thamud. Salih alayhi salam was a prophet sent to guide them. So sometimes they are called Qawmi Salih, or the nation of Salih alayhi salam, also because of their connection to him. Thamud was their actual name. Their nation lived close to Nuh alayhi salam and Hud alayhi salam as well. And so did the nation of Lut alayhi salam and Shuaib alayhi salam that we'll learn about later on, inshallah. They weren't too distant from each other, but Egypt is on the other side of the sea. So we know that Musa alayhi salam and his people that we're going to learn about lived far from them. And we can keep that in mind when we learn about them, inshallah. They lived on the other side of the sea. But the rest of them, Nuh alayhi salam, Hud alayhi salam, Lut alayhi salam, and Shuaib alayhi salam all lived on the other side. And that's where their nations lived. Thamud was the name of the grandfather or great-grandfather. This is where the nation got its name from. This nation came to this world about 6,000 years ago in the area called Hijr. They were the descendants of the righteous people from the people of Ad, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had saved with Hud alayhi salam. When the punishment struck, these people were the pious companions of Hud alayhi salam who were spared because they believed. But as time passed, their offspring became the people of Thamud. They lived in northwest Arabia, and their main city was called Hijr, and it's also called Madaine Salih, and this nation is called Ade Thani as well, because they were similar to the Ad people. Just like the people of Ad, they were experts in construction. And secondly, they were from their offspring. So they are called Ade Thani, meaning the second Ad or Odd part 2. And the third reason why they were called this is because they were also very wealthy and they were really strong and brave. They were experts at carving out homes in mountains and in building palaces. They were very skilled in this field. In fact, the things they built are still around today. There are Thamudi inscriptions on them of their script in their language. Now, let's find out what happened to them. وَإِلَى ثَمُودَ, and towards Thamud, أَخَاهُمْ صَالِحًا, their brother Salih. This means that for the people of Thamud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected their brother Salih alayhi salam. He was one of them. He was not an outsider. He was born and raised among the Thamud, and he belonged to their nation. He was from them. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ, he said, O my nation, O my people. And this is the same thing that the past messengers had said to their nations when they addressed them. The message that each messenger conveyed to their people was the same since the very first day, since the source of that message has always been the same. And that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah had sent this message for people. So Salih alayhi salam said to his people, Ya qawmi abudullah, O my people, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ma lakum min ilahin ghayruhu, you have no other God but Him. قَدْ جَاءَتْكُمْ بَيِّنَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, in fact, a clear proof has come to you from your Rabb. The clear proof that came to them was the miracle of the she-camel. We don't learn about any such miracles being witnessed by the past nations that we have studied, meaning the people of Nuh alayhi salam and the people of Hud alayhi salam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a miracle to the people of Thamud. Now, let's find out about this nation. Salih alayhi salam had started inviting them to Tawheed, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Since the time he became a young man, he had been inviting them. His people used to commit shirk, and that's why he told them to worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he told them that there were no other gods except for him, because they used to associate partners with him. He kept inviting them to Tawheed for a very long time. The people of Thamud normally lived to be about 300 to 600 years old. So they had really long lives. Salih alayhi salam had started to invite them to Tawheed when he was a young man, but they still had not listened, even when traces of old age appeared on Salih alayhi salam. His people were really fed up with the message that he kept trying to convey all throughout his life, since his youth. So at last, now that he was getting old, they plotted to ask him for something they thought he couldn't do. They thought that they would tell him, after challenging him, that he couldn't do what they requested, and that's why they won't listen to him. So they demanded something they thought would be impossible. They said to Salih alayhi salam, if you are the messenger of Allah, then make a she-camel come out of that specific mountain. And they mentioned the mountain where they wanted the she-camel to come out from. And they said, the camel